What's up, guys? Thanks as always for supporting the show. It would mean a lot to me if you would take a second to scroll down and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any more of our videos. Also, make sure you follow us all over social media so you don't miss any of our content or show announcements. All right, so we are starting with the Philly Knicks game from Tuesday night. So this is an example of trailing bigs in transition. So again, this is where we're working against the instincts of a big. Joel Embiid is the guy guarding karl-Anthony Towns. Watch the way he runs down the floor. He's thinking transition defense like a big, right? So he's going to sink into the paint or into the well inside the arc. When he catches, he's like, look at him. He's like, oh shit, because he forgets that karl-Anthony Towns is willing to shoot out here. But it's his natural instinct. His natural instinct is to drop into this area in transition, and Cat's able to just kind of settle into an easy trailing three. It's one of the big ways that Cat's been burning bigs around the league to start this year is transition trailing action. Here's the action that I've been seeing all around the league this year, which is like, let's put our center at the top of the key and let's throw him the ball. So let's do that first. Here's our high post entry. And then basically what you do is you have your two guards up top screen for each other. So in this case, Brunson for Bridges. That puts Kelly Oubre into trail position. Now Mikal Bridges sprints. Oubre's still in trail position. So now karl-Anthony Towns, because he can shoot, has Embiid right up on him, and Bridges is going to come right down into this area, right? There's that over-the-top pass as Kelly's in trail position. Now we have our 3-on-2. Bam. Here's our 3-on-2, right? And here's the thing. Lowry actually steps up, and technically he could have thrown this kick-out pass to OG, but Lowry's small, so Mikal Bridges is like, screw it, I'm just going to go up with this. And he does, and he gets a layup. That's the type of action that I'm seeing all the way around the league to start this year, and I think it's just such a smart approach to using your center and creating space underneath the basket. This is one of the things I talked about in the show on Tuesday night, where like Nick Nurse has been having in these ball screens, just having Embiid stay glued on Cat. So basically, here's our ball screen, right? We have our ball screen, and Embiid, instead of dropping, look at him. He's just staying attached. Why? Because Cat's wide open on the damn pop every single time. Then they're forcing the help from an off-ball perimeter player, right? So now as Brunson's going downhill, Paul George is basically functioning as the drop player, right? He's functioning as the drop big where Embiid would typically be here. These guys would all be matched up, and then karl-Anthony Towns would be wide open. Instead, they're having Embiid stay home. Paul George helps. That forces Kyle Lowry to sink down on Josh Hart. Now we have our kick out pass. Here's our closeout. We got our closeout, pump fake, one dribble, two dribble pull up. Nice and easy shot for OG Anunoby. So that's the thing. It's just really difficult to guard that pick and pop, because if you guard it the way that the Sixers did, you're going to end up causing other problems elsewhere in your defense. All right, let's get into the end of that Warriors-Mavs classic from Tuesday night. I was talking in the post-game show about how like guys just keep making big plays. I thought this was a random one last night. So we have a transition cross match here, right? So transition defense, everyone grabs the nearest man. It's less about matchups and it's more just grabbing the nearest man. You basically, in transition defense, it's stop the ball, guard the basket, then just get matched up regardless of who you're guarding. And so that puts Lively on Buddy Hield. So then Buddy Hield gets the ball and actually hits a really nice, look at this dribble combination. I'm going to slow it down a bit. Look at this dribble combination on Lively. Between the legs, left-handed crossover back to the right, gets him off the dribble. And then that little step, look at the little gather step that he takes into Lively's space. If he just goes straight to the rim, Lively's the superior athlete and he's going to beat him up top. But watch, I'm going to slow it down even further. Watch the step that he takes into the lane right on his gather, right here. Watch. Look how he gathers in right there into Lively's space to make it so that Lively can't just go straight beeline to the rim. Then he extends out and takes the layup. Really savvy basketball from Buddy Hield. Big bucket in that game. This was some of the things I was talking about in the post-game too, about Moses Moody overhelping in a ball screen. So like Moody's way in the paint here early in the possession. It's just an easy skip pass to Klay Thompson on the opposite side. But that's kind of one of those things too, where I was talking about with the Mavs with their spacing. If they situate it so that the low man is obviously coming off of Klay, they can generate a lot of those skip passes for him. Luka had a really rough defensive night. This was a classic example of that. Watch as Steph is running through. We're going to get a ball screen first. But he drives. Here's the Steph cut. Okay, so we have Quentin Grimes on Steph. We have Luka on Moody. Watch Luka this whole possession. Just stands there. And again, like, look, there's all they're doing is slipping this screen, and like Quentin Grimes is chasing, and Luka's just standing, and Moody just slips right behind him. Now, again, you could argue that's supposed to be a switch, but let's say it's a switch. Luka's not ready for Steph either. He's too flat footed. He's not in position to do anything. Even if he switches that, Steph's running off of Draymond and getting an open three. He's got to be lower in a stance, active, ready to move, and Moody just ends up getting an easy dunk. Again, Steph gravity, he does that to a lot of people, but if you're going to guard that properly, you need both defenders 100% engaged. This I thought was a really interesting ISO bucket for Klay against Andrew Wiggins. So straight ISO against an elite defender, but a simple action gets him the bucket. So first, let's watch it full speed, and then I'll show you what I noticed in the slowdown, which was super fascinating. So Klay's going to just pump fake and drive past Wiggins and get all the way to the basket. So Wiggins should, in theory, be athletic enough to show a little bit on a pump fake and not get toasted. But what I want you to watch is his right foot. In order to push off your right foot, it's got to be planted on the ground. If it's in the air, you're not pushing anything off, right? So watch Wiggins' right foot on the pump fake. So we get to the ISO. Let me fast forward a little bit. Here's our ISO. Watch the pump fake. Watch Wiggins' right foot. So he's planted. So if Klay were to rip to the right now, Wiggins would be able to easily push off of this foot and beat him to the spot. But watch as Klay pump fakes his right foot come off the ground. Watch. So when his right foot comes off the ground, he loses his leverage in that spot. And look at how often his right foot comes off the ground. It comes off the ground 3 times. Watch on the pump fake. Once, twice, 3 times. And so as a result, his weight isn't on that right leg. And you can literally see as he tries to push. Watch as Wiggins tries to push. He has to actually drag himself with his left leg rather than push with his right. And that makes him slow. Watch right here. Right there. See, there's no weight on that leg. So now he's dragging himself with his left leg to try to recover. And then he finally gets a plant with his right foot there to try to recover. And he's dead to rights. So such an interesting example of how a pump fake, just a simple pump fake, got Klay just barely enough of a leverage advantage to beat a much faster player off the dribble. Really fascinating little example of basketball fundamentals. This I thought was an interesting example of Steph's gravity that goes under the radar a lot of the time. So Steph's working in ISO against Grimes and gets to a step back, but watch as the action is happening. Watch Gafford. Gafford is ignoring Looney to basically offer a soft double. He's not double teaming Steph, but he's making it so that if Steph drives past Grimes, he's running right into Gafford. Notice from the beginning, I'm going to play the whole thing. Notice from the beginning, Gafford never actually drops to Looney. He's on Steph the whole time, right? Then he looks to Looney. So what's the problem here? Yeah, you forced Steph into a jump shot, but you gifted Looney inside position. Looney's able to easily box out. And now that Looney is inside position, he's able to get the easy offensive rebound putback. I think he just draws a foul on this one. But yeah, again, so like that's an example of Steph's gravity that won't show up in the box score for him as anything positive. It's a missed shot. But he basically gave Looney easy offensive rebound position because he was gathering Gafford into help. This I thought was the biggest play of the game the Tuesday night that went completely under the radar. It's 112-105 with 4 minutes left. The Mavs are up 7. This thing looks like it's close to over. Luka has Steph in a mismatch in the middle of the floor. Watch Steph. Pokes the ball away, gets a steal from Luka in the mismatch, sprints down the floor. In the ensuing chaos, we'll speed up a little bit. In the ensuing chaos, DeAnthony Melton gets a wide open 3. Big time shot for DeAnthony too. But that changed the complexion of the game. Now it's 112-108. It's 112-108 now instead of 112-105. completely changed the game. And that was a mismatch that could have been a bucket for Dallas. Huge defensive play from Steph Curry. This was just an insane shot that Steph Curry hit against Quentin Grimes. Again, one of the biggest things that I took away from this game, be above and beyond anything else going on with the Warriors, is Steph just looks great. Like I said, I looked at the end of last year as a slump. I expected him to have a bounce back year, having a big time bounce back year. Look at this superstar move against Quentin Grimes. Rip through over the top, step back, get enough separation, knock it down. This was another play where I thought Steph. They ran a lot of this action last night where they would run an initial screen to get Luka onto Steph. So they run the initial screen to get Luka onto Steph, then they bring Gafford up into the screen. This was the action they spammed down the stretch. But again, this is bad defense from Luka. So there's a switch coming. I get it. There's a switch coming, but this is too soft of a switch on both ends. Watch Luka just go, okay, you go ahead, Steph. See how he just quits? Luka just says, you got it, Steph. And then Gafford's too far back, and Steph just settles into the gap between them and takes the shot. At the very least, if you're Luka, you've got to stay attached with Steph up until the moment that Gafford is there. Luka was gifting Steph the transition between the switch, and Steph burned him. But look at, again, all these things. Technically, there's an explanation. Okay, Luka was switching. Or the slip from Moody. Okay, Luka was expecting to switch out onto Klay in the corner. I'm not debating that. The problem is it's not about what he's doing. It's about the fact that he's not actually actively athletically engaged in the game on defense. He is sitting and doing the bare minimum. And that is what teams are capitalizing on at the end of these games and hunting him for. And they're getting buckets, and it's costing the Mavs games. It's a real problem. It's something that continues to be a problem extending from last year in the finals. This was crazy. This defensive play from Draymond. Look at how he's able to offer high help. So he's helping around this free throw line area and able to, while offering that high help, recover to Gafford at the basket. Notice once again, Gafford too goes up with two hands. Draymond leads with his left hand first. Watch. Leads with his left, but then he sees Gafford double pump. And as soon as he double pumps, he switches to his right hand and goes after the exposed ball. Really, really high level defensive play from Draymond. Takes a little moment to talk his shit. And these things are all connected, guys. Because, here's the very next possession. Watch this. Draymond is once again a little too high, and Gafford is behind him. But the fear of Draymond and his wingspan and his instincts causes Klay Thompson to overcook this pass too high. He throws it too high because Draymond is the issue there. If Draymond's not there, if it's anybody else, you throw a lower pass. Here we go with this same exact action that I was talking about earlier. We get the Wiggins screen to get Luka switched onto Steph. Then we're going to run into the ball screen. This is just embarrassing defense from Luka. Steph just literally just does a simple double cross and just goes right around Luka easily to the basket, toasts him off the dribble, and gets an and one on the scoop shot. Just every time down the floor, they're going at him. Every time down the floor. This was the biggest stop of the game, in my opinion. Look at the defense from Wiggins on Luka. I talked a lot on Tuesday night's show about Luka's ability to absorb body blows from Luka without getting completely dislodged and actually knocking Luka a little off balance. This one right here, that blow, he just absorbs the blow. You can look at this last one here, this last bump, boom. Notice on that last bump, Luka doesn't gain any additional space right here. Not this one, the next one. Ready? Right here. Luka holds him off, and now it turns into this one-legged fadeaway from 15 feet. Again, we all know that's a shot Luka can take and make, but he's forcing him into the lowest efficiency shot that Luka takes, which is the contested long two. And then, in this case, we get the exact same sequence. Wiggins screen, get Luka switch. This time, Steph uses the screen, switch onto Lively, beats him with that little left to right crossover. Boom. Game over. Fun game from the Warriors there on Tuesday night. All right, I just wanted to show you guys a couple of examples of inverted ball screens that Giannis was running. Once again, I talked about how big guys just struggle to identify and navigate screens. Watch Isaiah Stewart here. Just watch him. Watch his head. He's like, is he over here? Wait. No, is he on the left side? Wait, where is he? Oh wait, no, he's on the other side. Now Giannis is dunking. Look at how all Pat Connaughton had to do was fake that he was running to set a screen on the right and then switch and set it on the left. And it got Isaiah Stewart out of position. The other thing, too, look at Cade Cunningham on the hedge. So Connaughton fakes like he's setting the screen on the right side. That makes Cade think, oh, my hedge is over here. So Cade goes to hedge, but Pat actually sets the screen on the opposite side. Cade's hedge is actually supposed to be over here. It's not. Now Pat effectively can screen both guys, and then Giannis gets the dunk. But again, it's all about putting guys into positions that they're not normally in. Exact same thing here with Jalen Duren. Watch the flip of the screen this time with Connaughton. Again, fakes like he's going to set it on the left side, causes the hedge on the left side, but then turns and screens the opposite side, and Giannis is able to get downhill easily. All about putting people in roles that they're not typically in.